I'm just saying that if you do, just give it to me and I'll.
Did you really?
Or even you can have credit to me directly. And just say, hey, I spoke to you. Perfect. I saw that. I saw him coming out. But you next one. Yeah.
Why didn't you bring mine?
Oh, it's probably closer to me.
I came,
That's why you get it. You're close to me.
I came very without stuff.
Jim Jackson.
I'll probably say something. Unless somebody else is ready.
No, we're not. We don't agree with you. Get the hell out. What did you have to do?
Jack, are you and Mike participating in the
Yes.
They are.
One of them's gonna run the movie.
Just ask one of us to do it. We're not that- we're not that- I don't know if we're allowed to. She could have said. Whatever, I don't know. I know this is like,
Hi.
do you want the first photo or pictures, or do you want individual photos?
I have no idea.
They're giving out.
They are giving out plaques.
I'm like, so I can take. I don't have to pay for it. You know how people do this?
Okay.
How many? There are 40, 40, 40 more.
So, well, I'll go.
And then you're gonna say something.
But I can also do,
So we have two presentations, slideshows. I'm going to say something about all the people.
I want Zach to go first. I want to get the kids out of here because they got homework.
I don't have a problem.
You fill them in first.
Jackie, just so you know, we're speaking about 10 or 11 people who get tenure this year. The other people have gotten tenure in the last few years, but because of COVID, we weren't able to honor them.
So you're just saying that.
Yeah, I'm just going to say their names, and their names are in the presentation, and then in the slideshows. But I'm not, you know, it's like a paragraph.
That's fine. Perfect.
Over there's fine. Yeah. Thank you so much.
You want me to put it anywhere else?
Thank you so much.
You want any of the
It's a nice thing you could do. Sometimes. I'm super. Marisol is a nice person. Me? No, me or Brian. Brian, no way. She's now I have to ask my mother to say definitely. Well, you're nicer than Lynn. That helps. You feel so much better. Oh my God. I left everybody.
I ran home. I wrote this up and drove into my.
Well, I had time. Expressway was.
I ran home at 2 o'clock.
In about 1870, in U.S. history that
Good evening, everyone. Is everyone there?
No. Dr. Adams.
we're gonna have to wait back when it happened.
Are you ready?
Yes, Lee.
Okay, I would call for a second. Motion and a second to reconvene the public meeting. I have a motion?
Motion.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Ryan, who would like to lead us in the pledge of allegiance, please? Ryan?
Yes.
One nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And a moment of silence for the military, please. Thank you. Will the district clerk please call the roll?
Mr. Murphy?
Present.
Mrs. Mallon? Present. Mrs. Napolitano-Furno?
Present.
Mrs. Aguilas?
Present.
Mrs. Kennedy?
Present.
Mr. Coley-Hefar?
Present.
Mr. Hauser?
Present.
Mrs. Poppy? Present. And myself, Jessie Kemp, the district clerk.
Okay, at this point, I would like to invite our student government up to speak so they can go home and do their homework.
Hello. Student government embraced Teachers Appreciation Week, which took place the first week of May. We created custom labels that had words of gratitude, and we individually wrapped hundreds of chocolate bars in these labels, and we then delivered them to all of our wonderful teachers. Student government decided that we needed to boost morale during AP exams, re-interview, and finals preparation. So we printed a ton of large banners wishing the T-Birds good luck on their exams. These banners are hanging large and proudly in the small gym, the main hallway, and the guidance suite. These banners will remain until the end of the school year. Speaking of boosting morale, we wanted to close out the spring with a final Spirit Week after much student inquiry. We held this Spirit Week from May 16th to May 20th. Monday was Pajama Day, Tuesday Neon Day, Wednesday Anything But a Backpack Day, Thursday Dress for Success, and Friday Connecticut Spirit Wear. This set of days provoked endless laughter and smiles throughout the hallways for the entire week. Elections for next year are in full swing for Connecticut student government and the class of 22, 23, 24, and 25. Students are currently petitioning and getting their recommendations in line. In the next week or so, we will be having campaigns, and we are excited to see some new faces and ideas.
The seniors, the class of 2022, recently had their senior banquet. Flower Fields did a wonderful job hosting us, and it was such a beautiful venue, as always. We enjoyed a great DJ, excellent food, and a ton of dancing. The senior class advisors, Mr. Wolf and Mr. Lieberman, announced this year's superlatives, and students were enthusiastic all around. Personally, I had the pleasure of creating and editing the senior video. This was played at the banquet on a large movie screen, and for the entirety of the 20-minute film, I was lucky enough to observe all 300 attendees staying engaged and respectful. With wide eyes, students were really moved by this piece, and as a favor for coming to the event, all students received an engraved flash drive with a copy of this video to have as a keepsake. We have some of these flash drives. Charlotte's going to bring them up for all of you to have, and please join us in watching those. Lastly, we have the painting of senior parking spots. We have a set paint day on Wednesday, August 17th. Our rain date will be Thursday, August 18th. We understand that many students have other obligations, such as work, so within the contract that students signed for this fundraiser, we've included a time period after paint day that students can come in on their own time, just making sure that they clean up after themselves, aside from that paint day. We allowed all students, regardless of their license status, to paint a senior parking spot this year. I know that was a suggestion that you had given us. And we are again going to try to go to Long Island Hardware, our local business here in Bohemia, to work out a discount with them. We've worked in close communication with John Allen to make sure we can be as productive and cooperative as possible in getting grounds prepared and improving from this past year. The price will remain at $30 a spot, and we're using the same type of map and ledger to stay organized. It was at this May board meeting about a year ago today that I proposed this idea for approval, and it took me a whole 3 weeks to sell 70 spots, and it was quite the hard sell. Now this year, in just 2 days, marking today is that second day, we sold 112 spots, and tomorrow, thank you. And Tomorrow will be our last and final day for current juniors to secure their spots. My legacy is living on and the tradition will continue. Tonight is my last board meeting as a student representative, and after 2 years of joining you on these Tuesday nights, I thank the entire board and administration. I thank you for welcoming me to these meetings. I thank you for working with me and the student body, and for allowing me to voice the opinion of the hundreds of students that I represent. It's been a true pleasure, and I'll cherish and embrace these lessons that I've learned in Connecticut.
Thank you, congratulations.
Thank you.
Zach, thank you for everything you've done for the school, for the class. Thank you, and good luck.
Thank you.
And good luck to you in the future. Okay, I call for a motion in a second to accept the minutes of the May 10th, 2022 Board of Ed meeting. May I have a motion?
Motion.
Second? Any questions? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion so carried. Reza, will you present the candidates for tenure?
Yes, ma'am. So, Ms. Kennedy, thank you very much for giving me and the superintendent in her absence the opportunity to present the board with our candidates for tenure this year. Unfortunately, over the last few years, we haven't been able to honor all of our tenure candidates, so there are some candidates who are here, and we will mention them as well over the last 2 years. But for this year's class, tenure class of 2022, I wanted to discuss a few things. So, Jesse, the next slide, please. The most important thing that we do as school administrators is select and tenure teachers who will impact thousands of students in their time at Connecticut schools. We take this very seriously. The candidates before you today have been selected carefully, provided with countless hours of professional development and mentoring. They have been evaluated by the members of the administrative staff and have been worthy of tenure in the Connecticut School District. Each candidate is spoken about by his or her primary administrator. So our first tenure candidate is Jessica Alcon. She is a special ed teacher at the Edward J. Basti Elementary School. Now, Jessica, I feel like I need to embarrass you, so please stand up so that the board can see who you are. I'm going to embarrass you even further by asking you to remain standing while I read a little bit about who you are. So Mrs. Alcon cares deeply for her students and works tirelessly to meet their IEP goals. Working collaboratively with the entire special ed team, she maintains a classroom that is warm and inviting and an inviting place. She plans creative and differentiated lessons to meet students' needs. She has frequent contact with parents, keeping them informed of their child's progress. She collaborates with her colleagues and is a highly respected faculty member and an asset to the school district and the special ed department. This came from Ms. Kimball. Jesse, next slide, please. Our next candidate is Shana Burgess. Shana, are you here? Thank you. So Ms. Burgess is the speech and language teacher at the Edward J. Basti Elementary School, and she works for the CAPS program. She is patient and kind, building a great rapport with her students. Each day, she greets the students at the buses with a warm and friendly smile. She is adept at providing students with developmentally appropriate strategies to improve their speech and language development. She is professional and always willing to assist families, teachers, and administrators. I will also say I did have the pleasure of spending some time with Ms. Burgess in her classroom, and I'm very excited to be presenting Shana Burgess to the Board of Ed for tenure. Our next tenure candidate for the class of 2022 is Amanda Greengrass. Amanda Greengrass is a special ed teacher at the OBMS. Ms. Greengrass has dedicated a great deal of time enhancing her knowledge, developing successful instructional strategies, and seeking avenues of professional growth. Her commitment to her students and to her craft is commendable. She differentiates her instruction to meet each student's needs and goes out of her way to ensure that they are grasping the concepts. She supports and advocates her students throughout aspects of their intellectual, social, and emotional development. Amanda is another one that I had the pleasure of seeing in action. Actually, Amanda, I believe that I saw you on the first day where students weren't in masks, and it was a little crazy, right? On that particular day. Well, you know, she did an outstanding job. And again, I'm excited to present Amanda Greengrass to the Board of Ed for tenure. Our next tenure candidate is Kathleen Lewis. Kathleen, are you here? Well, unfortunately, some people weren't able to make it, but Kathleen, oh, she is there. There you are. Okay. So Kathleen has demonstrated pedagogy that is child-centered and standards-based. She uses a variety of methods to best accommodate the various needs of individuals within a diverse group of students. She is a reflective practitioner as she evaluates her own work and strives to improve herself. Katie demonstrates a love for children, and she clearly places their needs above all else. She uses a variety of strategies, patience, and firmness, all with a loving approach towards all of her children. She is an elementary teacher at the Sycamore Avenue Elementary School. So again, I'd like to present Kathleen Lewis for tenure. Our next tenure candidate is Deanna McCallum. Deanna is a music teacher at the Edward J. Bosty Elementary School. She sets high standards for her students and then provides them with the tools they need to be successful. She provides lessons that are clear, explicit, and cognitively engaging. Her plans reflect an extensive knowledge of the music content as well as the subtle ways in which children learn. She successfully integrates technology in her lessons and provides students with opportunities for cooperative learning and self-assessment. The Bosty Chorus and Recorder ensembles under her direction continually impress audiences at our concerts each year. Our next candidate, Deanna McCullough. Congratulations. Our next tenure candidate is Mr. Vinny Osmers. Mr. Osmers is an art teacher at the Connecticut High School. He has a major impact on the ceramics program at the high school, as you can see from the photo with the smock and all the ceramic pottery clay all over it. His welcoming demeanor, creativity, and vast knowledge of the subject area has encouraged his students to show their true artistry and individuality throughout clay. His influence on the program goes beyond the work in his classroom. He is always willing to help others when needed most, whether it is visiting other buildings to maintain kilns throughout the district, help chaperone a trip at the last minute, or working collaboratively with other schools on projects. And if some of you have seen some of that artwork that has been displayed here at the high school, I can tell you that it is absolutely phenomenal, and he does a fantastic job. Vinny, congratulations. Good to you. I also do promise to hold myself to that. I'll be over on a Friday when you're doing that pottery stuff, so I promise I'll get there. Our next candidate is Miss Victoria Pappas. Victoria, I don't believe is here, but again, some people weren't able to be here. She's our educational technology specialist who works with teachers and students district-wide. She continues to shape the landscape of our culture surrounding educational technology in the Connecticut School District. She is involved in developing the teacher's capacity regarding practices in technology integration, but is hands-on with students as well. Ms. Pappas is an innovative, creative leader who is able to help teachers take effective, worthwhile lessons that have always worked in their tried and true form in the classroom and breathe new life into them by including technology. So that's Ms. Victoria Pappas. Our next candidate is Ms. Kaylin Quigley. Ms. Kaylin is a special ed teacher at the Cherokee Street Elementary School. She is an excellent special ed teacher, preparing lessons that are both challenging and reinforcing. Working closely with her co-teacher, she cultivates a warm and engaging classroom environment. She continually refines her craft as a reflective educator. Ms. Quigley brings much passion, professionalism, and love to our school community. She is another who I had the pleasure of seeing in class. And Kaylin, I think you and your partner, you guys did a phenomenal job, and I'm very excited. Our next tenure candidate is Ms. Janelle Richter. She is an art teacher at Sycamore Avenue Elementary School. Ms. Richter has proved to be a dedicated and creative art teacher. The student artwork would make any principal proud. Again, some of this is from your principal himself, Mr. Stu Pollack. She develops mentoring relationships with her students who have difficulty in school but enjoy art. She makes valuable connections with these students who seek refuge in the art classroom. Ms. Richter helps to beautify the school with banners and posters with special events. So again, I'd like to present her as a tenure candidate for 2022. So our next candidate is Ms. Marielle Coffin. Marielle is here. She's a school counselor at the Oakdale Bohemia Middle School. I knew her as Marielle Tutino, and she got married, so congratulations. So now we call her Ms. Coffin, and she is an essential member of the counseling team there at OBMS. She has taken an active role in organizing the group counseling and peer leadership, as well as various special activities throughout the school year. Her genuine, positive approach strengthens her ability to connect with students and communicate with parents. Ms. Coffin takes the initiative to streamline processes and fosters a trusting and collaborative school environment. Marielle, congratulations. Our next tenure candidate is Ms. Christine Wright. Christine here? She is. She is a reading teacher at the Idle Hour in Oakdale Bohemia Middle Schools. Ms. Wright consistently demonstrates good judgment. She treats students in a respectful, fair, and impartial manner. Ms. Wright is firm about her expectations, but is able to employ positive strategies to redirect inappropriate behavior. She closely monitors student progress as they perform tasks assigned. Ms. Wright is a professional, has a positive attitude, and an extremely strong work ethic. Thank you very much, Ms. Wright. We're excited to present you as a candidate for tenure. Dr. Adams, would you like to take over, or you want me to continue?
You're doing really well.
Thank you. I'd like to see that in my evaluation at the end of the year. So our next tenure candidate is Ms. Siobhan Guida. She's a special ed teacher at the Connecticut High School. I don't believe I saw her here. Is that correct? It is, by the non-response. Thank you. However, Ms. Guida has dedicated her time to developing and improving the programs of our life skills students. She works collaboratively with her colleagues and building staff while providing a nurturing environment where students are excited to come to school. She is an innovative teacher who uses a variety of strategies and makes her teaching more effective. So that's Ms. Siobhan Guida, presented for tenure. Our next candidate is Mr. Chris Walsh. Mr. Walsh, you here? You're reluctantly standing up, but thank you. So Mr. Walsh is a phys ed teacher at the Slocum Elementary School. He demonstrates pedagogy that is child-centered and standards-based. He works to create an environment in the gymnasium that is welcoming for all students. He is encouraging to all and makes great efforts to embed character education traits within his lessons. Mr. Walsh has proven to be an effective or reflective practitioner who strives to grow as a professional. Mr. Walsh, thank you, and I'm very excited to present Mr. Walsh. So there are, as I said earlier, there are some candidates that we are sorry that we missed in the years that we weren't able to have our gatherings. In the 1920 school year, here are some of the teachers who received tenure over that period of time. We have Kimberly Crocco, Melissa Del Iasola, Michelle Germinario, Michelle Leach, Erica Santini, I apologize, Stephanie McNamara, Vanessa Perry, Raven Savage, Amanda Stibe, Elizabeth Talamo, and Christine Wynn. If any of them are here, could you please stand up and be recognized by the Board of Education? I believe that was Raven Savage, is that correct? Congratulations. Tenure, you already have tenure, so they will not be voting on you tonight, but congratulations anyway. And I do want to get a picture with all of the tenure candidates, or not me, because I'm not photogenic. The superintendent, however, is, so she can get the picture with all of the tenure candidates after we make the announcements.
Okay, I'd like to call for.
Miss Kennedy, before you do that, can I just make one more? I do want to announce the tenure candidates for the 2021 school year. That's our final slide. We have 2 more slides after this, actually. So in the 2021 school year, again, unfortunately, we did have a presentation for them, but they weren't able to be here due to our COVID restrictions. So those candidates were Nancy Coleman, Amy Duteau, Jean Guerin, Lori Harned, Rebecca Coons, Mia Lagravenice, Nicole Mamino, Elise McGuire. I believe Elise is here too. Kim Nofi, Monica Ojeda, Jennifer Pancota, Yasmin Rutkowski, Suzanne Summerhalter, Michelle Stella, and Stephanie Zabia. If any of them are here, please stand to be recognized by the Board of Education. Again, those are the teachers who have had received tenure at the end of last year. So finally, Ms. Kennedy and the Connecticut Board of Education trustees. Oh, I'm sorry, that's Dr. Adams' slide. Sorry.
Now it's my turn. So, it's not turning. There we go. Mrs. Kennedy and the Connecticut Board of Education trustees, I, the Superintendent of Schools, enthusiastically presents this group of candidates for tenure to you for your consideration and action. Mrs. Kennedy, please call for a vote.
May I have a motion and a second to approve the conferring of tenure in accordance with the applicable provisions of education law to the individuals previously presented? May I have a motion?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I didn't hear all the ayes.
Aye.
Aye. Congratulations.
Congratulations. We have some certificates.
Congratulations.
Come on down.
Dr. Adams, before we do the certificates, we do have one more video of our tenure candidates that we'd like to present the board with. So Jesse, if you can present that. And then we do, as Dr. Adams said, we do have certificates for everybody, and we'd like everybody to come down and again take pictures with the superintendent and the Board of Ed. Dr. Adams, before you get started, I'd like just to thank the Elise Pulliam and the technology department for that video. They did a fantastic job on that, and I really do appreciate it. I think Elise and her team were running around the district taking pictures of everybody today. So I want to thank you all for participating and getting your pictures taken today. Do you want me to call the candidates up and you hand them their certificates? Okay, yeah, I was. So again, recently conferred tenure. Congratulations once again. The following candidates received tenure tonight. Shayna Burgess, come on down. Jessica Alcon. Amanda Greengrass. Shaban Guida, who I don't believe is here, but Kathleen Lewis. Deanna McCollum, Vinnie Osmers, Janelle Richter, Marielle Coffin, Kaylin Quigley, Christopher Walsh, Christine Wright. And then those tenure candidates who had received tenure prior to this year are present, I believe, are Raven Savage. Come on down. We have Jean Guerin, Elise McGuire, Monica Ojeda, and Suzanne Summerhalter. Congratulations, everybody.
So I'm going to invite Mrs. Pulliam up to the mic because I know she has something special to say to this group of folks. And I know that I just talked to Mrs. Poppy and that you probably will be angry that I call you to the mic, but I'm going to do it anyway.
Hi. I have so much I could say, but I will try to keep it brief. So much of me is with every single one of you. I'm very proud of you, whether you're here or at home. It's been a long 4 years. It's been a wonderful 4 years. I'm not sure that many new teachers can say that they have been new teachers, and also through a pandemic and through remote learning and through every hoop that there ever could be. And although, I've taken on another role in the district, when you're a mentor, it's part of who you are as a person. And I could not be more proud than to be here watching all of you from my very first year as the mentor, coming now, full circle to seeing you get tenured and being a part of all of your lives. I've seen you through, jobs, babies, families, you name it. I have been there for you through it all. And there is no greater pleasure or pride than I take in being here tonight to watch all of you receive your tenure the first time and receive it again in person, as you so well deserve to receive it. So thank you for inviting me up and including me in this. I appreciate it very much. Congratulations.
Just a brief explanation. Mrs. Pulliam was the teacher mentor for 3 years with this wonderful group of teachers that she mentored through. And we have a 4-year mentor and induction program where we try to make sure that we've given you enough tools to make all of our kids successful, because all we ever wanted was for you to be successful so our kids could be successful. And the fact that you got tenure means that you have passed that with flying colors and that you are successful in your teaching and your practice. Stay a lifelong learner, because teachers have to do that to model that for kids. So congratulations, and we're so excited to celebrate you tonight. All right, there's cake and coffee in the back. We're going to take a brief recess so that you folks can enjoy some refreshments. And congratulations. Congratulations.
While we have a recess, to the board, while we have a recess, it might benefit us to go back to executive session for 15 minutes while they're having their coffee. Now, I'd like to make a motion in a second to move back into executive session so we can finish off the business of the day. Anyone hear me?
Thanks, Jesse. I mean, I didn't answer the question, but I can help it how it goes.
Just
Dr. Adams?
Sorry, that's me, I kicked the wheel.
Yeah, I don't know how to get my paperwork.
Let me know whenever you need back.
Yes.
Nobody sent anything to my house. I was supposed to go to my house and nothing came.
Okay, so, moving on to discussion items. Board of Ed topics. I have COVID, I'm not into talking, but middle school centric career day was great. It's nice to see. Jackie, you wanna take over?
I got to go to the RMS one. I would have loved to go to OBMS as well, but it was the same day. I heard both were excellent. I actually went as a parent for my profession, and I could just tell the kids were so enthusiastic. What an outstanding program to have for them. I thought it worked out really well, especially on the half day. And it gave them, you could really tell that they were interested in seeing what was going on in different fields. And for those who didn't know what they really wanted to do yet, it was absolutely okay. And those that want to do something, but again, could change their minds a year or two from now. It was just, I really thought it was done excellent. I heard OBMS's was done excellent, and I would love to see them in the future and maybe make it over to OBMS next time.
Okay, new committee reports.
Okay.
Jackie?
That was something that I had brought up to the superintendent. I wasn't sure how we could do it. I had heard from different educators that they had felt a disconnect with whether it be myself or other board members or the board itself. And I was just trying to find a way for, not just for the educators, but also for all the support staff, to give them some sort of a committee where we could meet maybe once a quarter or twice a year, or some way where we could get together face to face and actually have people speak with us and open dialogue to see what's going on. Maybe even have them critique what we're doing that they would like to see done differently. Because to be perfectly honest, I hear things after the fact, and then I'm like, well, if someone would have told me that they felt that way beforehand, or maybe that's how their perspective of what I said or did, maybe it wouldn't have come out that way. Maybe if we could, sometimes people can't tell in something that's written, or maybe they can't tell in the way the conversation or dialogue is going on, what is the true intent or the goal is that some of us have, or all of us have. So I was just trying to find.
What would you call this committee?
Well, I asked Dr. Adams, I think I said, I was like, at first I said a community committee, and she said, we have a community committee, or we would do it a community. And I said, okay, well, is there a way that we could do something where it's more internal, and we could even have some outside parents who would like to be part of it? I just thought it would be a nice idea. We have these board meetings, but Lee, there's no dialogue. And I understand that these are our business meetings, and I get it. But what about having a special meeting where we could have that dialogue and it not be hostile and it not be an issue? It just be, this is some of the things we'd like to see, and people say this is some of the things they'd like to see. And listen, if nobody likes this idea, no problem. I just thought it was a nice idea to bring up, because I'm just trying to find ways to do things that are transparent as well as giving people a voice.
What do you call that, Linda, that every year, the NISMA, you go to NISMA, for that convention?
Yes. Yeah,
You learn a lot of what I think that you're talking about, Jackie.
yeah,
That's where you get most of your learning from outside of Connect Quad.
Yeah, there are ways to have a board have workshops, and there's also a way for the board to have a town hall. And then there's, at one of the NISBA conferences that I went to, they were talking about programs and having board members at separate tables and having different people to be able to sit down and talk about a program that they wanted to hear and think about. But it was kind of like a workshop that was set up in a large arena, like a high school cafeteria, and multiple tables, and people moved to different board members' tables to talk about a topic of the day kind of thing. So let me think about that a little bit more and kind of give you guys a proposal as to how we could do it. And even if we just did it, you know, sometime toward the end of the summer or in the middle of the fall sometime, and just have one as a model, and see what we can do as a pilot.
I would love that. Like I said, I just wanted to try to give everybody a voice who's looking for it and maybe feels like they're not being heard.
Okay, the next topic was Board of Education email responses.
Wait, was that us? I think that was us talking about, am I?
Are you asking me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Was it about us? Okay, that was, Lee, I think that was in regards to us wanting to figure out a way to get emails, responses out to the public. Many people are feeling like they email, whether it be central office or whether it be the school board, and we don't respond, or we don't respond because they don't understand that when you send it to the entire board, it's not technically to one of us, it's to the board, the sitting board, and then we would have to give permission to the president to answer for us after we saw what you wrote. So I'm just trying to find a way to maybe streamline that so that we can actually do something like that. Because I do feel like I've spoken to other school boards and some places answer every single email. So we need to figure out a way that people don't feel like they have an email sent to us and they're just getting a generic answer. And I understand we all, you know, we have jobs, we have families, we have a lot of other things, and there's a lot coming in. But we need to try to carve out a way to be able to do this, even if we do it with just short answers, or we bring these up at board meetings, which was the other thing I had brought up. Like, should we compile what we get as questions? Like, if people send us an email, put it on as a board discussion, and it just be a general one. So we're not speaking about the person that wrote it, we're not speaking about their child or them specifically, but we're speaking about the actual situation. Because maybe that would be good, because it would give them full transparency hearing us speak about it in public.
So there are boards who actually have a part of their agenda that's called correspondence. And at that point, you know, either the district clerk would kind of give a synopsis of the different emails that were received, and then the board could decide. Because even if there was a draft written, the board would have to vote in public to have that draft sent. So it's just a process, you know, I know, but at least that's something you may want to talk about if you have that board retreat, what kind of a protocol might that look like. But there's definitely boards that do correspondence pieces where the district clerk would just summarize the things that you folks got, either in the mail, or it usually was a mail issue, not an email issue. But that's possible to add to the agenda.
I would like that. I don't know about everybody else. I think it would make people a little bit more aware that we are getting what they're writing. We are looking into it, even if they're not realizing it, and then they'll be getting their answer at the next board meeting. It might also, you know, prompt more people to want to listen or watch and be involved in the board meeting, because we're going to be speaking about specifically one of their questions.
I know Sable District does that. They read the letters sent to the Board of Ed in public.
You read the whole letter?
Yes.
Really?
You folks get a lot of emails. I'm not sure you want to read all the emails that you get for every 2 weeks, and sometimes you only have one a month, but we can certainly do some kind of a synopsis if you wanted to vote on putting, at least piloting a correspondence section on the agenda. That would, we could, you know, Mrs. Kemp and I could work on that.
And also, some of those emails, I'm sure that people writing them don't want them published.
Right.
That's very true.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that's why I said I like
I wouldn't use anyone's name.
I just like the idea of taking out just the piece about what the question is, so that you're really not targeting any one person, because maybe we have had times where we get like several emails about the exact same thing. So what I'm saying is we could tailor it to just answer the questions from correspondences as just answering the questions as they came. Or or looking into the concerns that some people might have, without getting into the specifics so that no one person feels like they're the person being spoken about.
We could try it. I think there'll be less complaints this year. Last year was abnormal amount of letters coming in.
So do you want to vote
It
on
was
that?
not,
Do you
so
want,
we could try it.
do you want,
I'm
do
getting,
you want to vote on
you need
putting
a
that on the
consensus
agenda?
on this?
I think it's changing your agenda, so I think you probably should.
Have a consensus?
Yeah.
Okay, so we need a consensus to connive the proper words?
You just need to give us authority. So I have authority from one board member.
Do you have authority from me? I'm a yes.
I'll provide authority. I also would just like some guidelines as to what is being released, because this could be used in a way where someone
Right.
says, I'm gonna send an email, because I know they're gonna read it, so everyone reads it, and it could just start something that is not really going
Yeah,
on.
I thought of that also.
Well, I don't want to read the whole, like I said, I don't want to read into everybody's emails. What I want to do is just say there's an email sent. Say somebody, I'm just using this, is complaining about, I'm just using lunch, for instance, a lunch or an issue at lunch or whatever the case is. They tell us that, we bring it to Dr. Adams. Dr. Adams answers it the way I put things on for the board agenda intentionally, because I'm trying to answer a lot of people's questions. So sometimes I think it would work better if we did something like that, where then she could give the actual correct answer at that time. Maybe even stopping some people from wanting to speak at public comment because we already answered their questions.
So
Without
let's do
reading
this.
everything.
Let's
Go ahead.
Ms. Kemp and I work on what that would look like for the June 14th meeting. And we'll send it to you folks in an update as to what we would actually have selected from those emails so that you can see what that looked like before we actually put it live on an agenda.
Perfect.
Does that make sense?
Right, some are very political.
Yeah, so we wouldn't pull those. We would pull the ones that are real questions for that people would want answered as the public. So let's just do, Ms. Kemp and I will do a mock-up of that and we'll see if you like that, what that looks like, and we could then start in September rather than, you can see what a mock-up would look like.
Absolutely.
Sounds like a plan.
I'm not looking for us to pull out something that if somebody is specifically being targeted or somebody is specifically being, let's say, yelled at or whatever the case is, that's not something I'm talking about for correspondences. I'm talking about people have an issue, we address the issue itself, and if more than one person has that issue, maybe it stops everybody from asking because now they have the answer. That's all.
Can I just, would we get the emails also, or would you hold on to them and then?
No, we still get them.
No, I would share it.
No, well, because Dr. Adams was saying how some school districts hold on to them and then present them during the correspondence section of the meeting. So I was just trying to.
Not email, usually like physical mail.
Yeah, so I just wanted to clarify and
Oh,
just
yeah.
find out. I'm definitely for that, like, I definitely am, I was a strong advocate for responding to emails in the first place, so, yeah.
Okay, the final subject was put on by Mrs. Augelis. I actually have two experts in the audience. I have Mrs. Pisani, who's our interim director of PPS, and Mrs. O'Hara, who is our director of special education. I know that Mrs. Augelis had posted something about school refusals and the increase in that in the city, and she was concerned about where we landed with that in Connecticut, and I reminded them, the board, that you all were kind enough to provide us with additional mental health service staff this year, and I'm going to ask that those two ladies come up to the mic and talk a little bit about what we have for Connecticut Kids, for our parents, and Mrs. Pisani might even want to talk about the survey that she's about to send out to tailor our trainings next year to our community needs. So thank you, Mrs. Augelis, for giving them this opportunity just to talk a little bit about what we actually do have in Connecticut in order to help parents and students be as successful as they can.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Joanne Pisani, the Interim Director of Pupil Personnel Services. If you are having a student or a child having difficulty coming to school. I would encourage parents to reach out to the building level support staff. At the elementary level, that would include the social worker and the school psychologist. At the secondary level, that would include the school counselor, the social worker, and the school psychologist. And from there, they can make a referral to our outreach counselor, Ms. Olivia DeLisa, and she can provide in-home supports where she can visit the home, she can do an assessment, she can provide counseling support, and then create a plan to help transition the child to come back to school. If you'd like to.
So for special ed students and 504 students, it's very similar to what Ms. Pisani just explained. But in addition to that, we also have their IEP and their 504 plan that we can amend to put some supports in place. So one of the things that we can do to put in place for students is put a behavior intervention specialist in the home. So if a student is having a hard time coming to school, we're gonna have somebody that will go, usually it's a contracted service that we use, that will go to the home at the time that the child will wake up and work with the parent and the child to work on a plan on how to get them to come to school. So that might look like, first they're getting them, to the kitchen table to eat breakfast, then they're getting them into the car. Next step is they're driving them to the school, getting them just to the grounds of the school, walking into the building, walking to their first class. So a lot of times it is a process that they will go through, but we'll put that kind of support in place for them, as well as at times providing the parent support with outside agencies, such as SPOA is a good agency for parents to use in cases like this, and then providing them parent counseling and training in the home, where we have somebody that will go and work with the actual parent to show them ways that they can help their child to get to school. It takes a village to educate our children. It definitely takes a village for school refusal students. So it includes the parent, it includes outside agencies, it includes the people in the district, helping students to overcome the anxiety that they're feeling to feel comfortable to come to school. In addition to that, I know that many of you came to see the academy at the high school. So the academy is also a place where we can provide smaller class structure to students. We currently have 15 students that are in that program now. And so it's a smaller class ratio where they're getting the support of a special education teacher as well as a school psychologist that are in that program full time. So that they're gonna provide counseling on that moment. The child's having some kind of a issue or a problem or some kind of anxiety, they can see the counselor right then and there. She also will go to the home, and she has worked with parents in terms of going to the home and helping the student come to school and what supports can be put in place to have that student come to school. That program has been very successful. We've seen the attendance rates going up, so kids are coming to school. We've seen an increase in their grades. So students that prior to coming to the academy may have grades in the 60s are now passing all of their classes, or at least the majority of their core classes. So that is also another resource that we can give to students who are having a school refusal problems as well.
Okay, Mr. Pisani, I know that you're working on something to gauge the need of our community with some kind of mental health training over the course of maybe even this summer. So why don't you do a little PR on that?
So with the help of the Mental Health Advisory Council, we together have created a survey that will go out to the community. And with that, we are looking for input to create programs for this coming summer and also for the next school year. So we're hoping to gather that data and work with Family Service League, also our counselors in district, to provide those workshops for the families. So that will be going out shortly. I think we have a go on that, Dr. Adams, for the survey. So parents in the community, please look out for that survey. And if you can complete it, that would be much appreciated. Thank you.
Mrs. August, was there anything else that you wanted to ask these ladies?
Well, what's concerning is that I noticed that children, if there is an off balance or, you know, a disruption in routine is what promotes these type of school refusals. Because anything that makes change, sometimes they have difficulty with adjusting with change. And, you know, are we able to identify kids that are really, truly having these challenges? And what are we doing when a child has a school refusal or the parent is going through a difficulty trying to get their child up on Monday morning and they're facing a lot of resistance?
So many of the things that we spoke about before are things that we put in place for students that have school refusal. There are a couple of other things that we can do, such as a check-in, check-out program. So a student that's having difficulty coming to school may have a connection to somebody in school. So it might not be a teacher, it may not be an administrator, it may be the security guard, it may be the custodian, it may be somebody that works within the office. So having them kind of meet with that person when they come into the building and developing a plan of, if you come to, you know, if you're in school and you come on time and you come to 3 classes and there's some kind of a reward at the end of it or something that the child will gain at the end of it that is highly motivating to them, will help to bring the students in school as well. It's really an individual basis on what the students really prefer, what's going to kind of get them to school, the connection that they have to the staff, to the other students, and finding that person that is that one person that is a true connection for them to help them to be able to come in to school.
Do we have any PINS kids?
Do we have?
We do.
I was quite surprised about how many parents actually, because I did put the link on several Facebook pages, and I was quite surprised how many parents contacted me privately to say that their son or child or daughter are having these challenges. And it was pretty concerning. It was just 1 or 2 parents that are having this difficulty with this situation.
And really the best thing for them to do is to contact, like Ms. Pisani said, to go through their counselors in the building, so at least we can get the ball rolling and try to figure out what kind of program we can put in place for them to help them.
Do you guys have PINS children?
Yeah.
Do we have?
We do.
Is it few or is it?
So the issue with PINS is that students that have a mental health component as well, PINS isn't going to take that kind of a case. That's really where SPOA comes in place.
Right.
So if there's any kind of mental illness concern at all, they will not bring that child, because the bottom line is PINS will take a child to court.
Right.
And so they won't take a child with a mental illness to court. So they usually will refer them to SPOA.
That's why I haven't heard or even seen any of that paperwork here, so I just was under the assumption maybe we were fortunate we didn't have any PIN students here, but I know that we deal with that.
And we do have a social worker at the high school that does support those students in those cases, yes.
Okay, and, okay.
Thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming. Thank
Thank you.
So, I have to ask this because people are asking us, so even if we don't know where it's at, I wanted to just see what we can do. So Mylon, you and I had spoken about this. We had parents reaching out to us. We had community members reaching out to us in regards to the Regents, the do no harm. And, I want to make sure that we are making sure that we truly do no harm. And I did see that stuff was already canceled, the history. So the state itself is doing it. I'd like to just see what can we do to help that.
I think Linda has the answer to all this, Jackie.
Yes,
I thought Linda wrote it. I don't know if you read it because you're working, but Linda sent us an email on it. Do you want to share that, Linda?
So,
I only got the email today, Lee, about history.
yeah.
I saw the history one.
They took away one of the Regents exam that was set for June 1st because of the content on it, so we'll never get to see that Regents exam. However, last February, the board voted to suspend the grading policy, which will allow us to move forward with a do no harm policy this year as well. Mrs. Poppy has been working with our administration and our teachers to iron out the issues that might occur, but as you know, last year, the Regents exams were optional. They are no longer optional. However, in order to do no harm, we will be looking for not using the Regents exam in the calculation of a student's, bless you, of a student's grade point average in that class unless it helps them, which is what we did last year. But there's a lot of moving parts when it comes to that. There's also a waiver that students need to apply for. This only came out to our attention on Monday of last week, that a student who receives between a 50 and a 64 on a Regents exam can appeal to use that grade as a passing grade provided they pass the course. So we are, again, working with our administration and teaching staff with all these moving parts. It is likely that I, as a superintendent, will appeal for all the kids. That way it doesn't have to individually be appealed by the students. There's a way for the superintendent to actually appeal for every child. And so we're looking at all that again. We just got this information about a week ago. And then they also came down with the fact that there would be no APPR calculated this year. So we're allowing our students and our teachers to have another year to breathe and know that, you know, education during the pandemic was not what it was before the pandemic. That's just the reality. So we're working on that, and as soon as we have everything fleshed out, we will send a letter home to the community describing the appeals process, describing what do no harm looks like. But because the board allowed us to suspend that policy last February, we can move forward with that without having the board have to act on anything in response to that. Mrs. Poppy, did I get everything correct there? You did? Thank you.
I just want to make sure that the district makes sure that we lower all the stakes on New York State Regents exams. I want to make sure that the kids they get a fair shake this year, because again, if the state itself is canceling them like they did with the one you sent us today, then, and also I had read that the New York State Education Department made it clear that a trend of many suburban schools averaging Regents scores into course GPA is not what was intended by the Board of Regents or New York State Education Department. So that's another issue. The fact is, if they don't recommend this practice, I don't know why we do it then.
It's actually something that and it's not just the Connecticut community, it's the Long Island community. The teachers come together and talk about how to ensure that kids are really studying for these very high stake tests. They haven't been high stake in a while, but they are high stake. If they do not pass the mandated tests, they actually cannot graduate from a New York State high school with a Regents diploma. So it's something that we can certainly put together a committee. Once we're out of this, the New York State Board of Regents has determined that kids will be able to appeal for the next two full school years. So not only this June 2022, but all the way through, I believe it's August 2023, they'll be able to appeal that to that 50 to 64 range in value and the test score. So at that point, certainly we should have a committee that looks at the grading of the way we calculate our GPAs.
Perfect. I'd like to sit on that committee.
Okay,
Lee, if I could just bring up a couple of things for board discussions. So I just wanted to let the community know an update on the speed bumps at the high school. John Allen unfortunately couldn't be here today, but he did let me know that this Thursday at the high school, they're going to tear up the current speed bumps and they're going to lower them an inch and soften the profile. So that's taking place. Also, just a reminder, for Sunday, June 12th, is the Connecticut Thunder Run, hosted by the Connecticut PTA Council. So it'll be a fun event. Hopefully a lot of you can make it. So I just wanted to remind the community about that. And I also wanted to bring up the Cherokee Wellness Day.
And also Duffield.
And Duffield Wellness Day. So Brian, Jackie, and I were lucky enough to go and be a part of their day with them, and it was just such a great day. There were smiles all around. Everybody was doing different activities, and yoga was involved. Cherokee had
The dogs.
they had pets. They had a donkey at one point. There was a donkey.
And there was chickens.
There was chickens and rabbits. They were just, and they
Mouse,
had
I
it for
love
every little age group. So from K to 2, they had the chickens and the rabbits. From 3 to 5, they had the donkeys and the goats. And they also had therapy dogs from Long Island Therapy Dogs, and they were amazing. And we actually have one of our social workers at the high school who is looking to bring therapy dogs to the high school, which I think is an amazing program. And I would like, with consensus from the board, to invite Ms. Nicole Coogan to come and present her presentation of the therapy dogs.
Mine's an absolute yes.
I would,
As per
I would like that.
As for Cherokee and Duffield, they were both excellent wellness days. Thank you for bringing that up, because I meant to and I forgot. I absolutely loved all the animals. I know that Marisol likes standing next to me holding all the animals, but
So here's the thing. There's strokes for different folks. I am not an animal lover, but I did appreciate all the people that loved seeing the animals and holding them. I stood next to Jackie when she held the rabbit or the chicken or whatever it was.
I love animals. So I have to tell you, and I loved seeing the kids and their love for them.
Same, and I would not advocate for them because
absolutely.
I am not.
I have a picture
And
of
that-
Jackie.
I will say that I absolutely loved, I loved what went on at Duffield. I loved that they did yoga. I loved all the things they did there. And then I appreciated going to Cherokee, and it was different. So it was nice seeing the differences. We saw some likenesses, but then it was nice seeing the different spins in the different buildings. What I really loved
I
was,
think there should be animals in all buildings.
Lee, I think we should do dogs.
Why doesn't all 7 schools do that?
I gotta tell you, I understand that
I agree,
there are people that may have allergies, so that could be an issue. I totally understand that. But I have to tell you that I absolutely loved the therapy dogs the best at Cherokee, just because Cherokee is one that had the animals. I thought the little donkey was adorable. I thought having chickens and rabbits for kids, it was a beautiful setup. But I have to tell you that I really did love the dogs that they brought in for the staff. I think it was nice. It was so nice for us to go in and be able to see that and also get a feel for it.
And when the high school did their wellness day, they had therapy dogs here, and they were just so well received by all the students. And I would just love to see them be brought in and hear Ms. Coogan's proposal.
Well, I would like to advocate for next year to have that program brought here. I know that I spoke to Dr. Adams about it when we were at Cherokee. I had said something to Dr. Adams about it right then and there, that I thought it was a great program, and I took one of the dogs have little baseball cards, it looks like. I took one of them home. It's adorable, but I have to tell you that when we spoke, I said I really do think it's something that's necessary, and I think it could absolutely change. And Sachem does it, and I've only heard good things.
Yeah, so I had an
I
opportunity.
saw that, they do it in Sado.
There's about 10 schools on Long Island and a university that has therapy dogs, and they're well received by all the districts.
And they're doing it in Sayville. A friend of mine has her dog in that program. It takes quite a while to have, you can't bring in a puppy as a therapy dog. It has to be a dog that's trained and an adult. It's a beautiful program because the dogs come all the time.
Lee,
It's not a one-time deal.
Lee, actually, I had spoken to a trainer because I myself wanted to see how all that stuff works out. And from what I heard from a trainer just not 2 days ago was I was told that as a puppy, they go through, and this is what I was told from someone who actually does the training for what they do. A puppy has to actually go through steps, and each one, they get trained, and they have to pass that test. But that does not mean that they cannot be around children, nor that they cannot be utilized. Puppies can be utilized maybe in a different manner than the adult dogs, but they can absolutely still be utilized. I heard that it actually has worked out very well in other schools where they have trained them from a puppy up, and they get comfortable with the building.
Well, she has a 6-month-old puppy, and she started the training.
Oh, is that home?
So it's still a puppy at 6 months. And she started the training, but the dog is a Australian Shepherd and very smart. So it's gonna be easy for her to do. But she wants to do it for senior citizen homes also.
Lee, I'm not joking, we should have somebody come in and actually, I would like to see bringing the dog in. And I would like to actually maybe have them even come to our retreat. It could be very useful.
Listen, you can bring a happy goat in. I like animals. Animals.
I'm with you, see, we agree, I'm with you. Bring the little goats, I like them too, ask Marisol.
If I may, I'd like to do a shout out for Beats to Liam. Liam's mom, Luann, her family, and a host of volunteers came down last Saturday to host the Beats to Liam, which involved heart screening, consisted of EKG and echoes, information regarding healthy choices for eating, and just beautiful. 151 teens had came. 60% were evaluated with an on-site echo. So it tells you that there is a concern about our teens and that, the importance of having your child go to a pediatric cardiologist at least once a year, get a baseline, and this way repeat it again the year after, because it could potentially save lives. Again, I just want to do a shout out to Luann, her family, and the host of volunteers. They did an amazing job, and I'm proud of the amount of work they put into this.
Yeah, I heard it was well attended.
Can I also jump in
Good
with
job.
something?
Good job.
So I want to congratulate the marching band on an amazing showing at the Hershey Park Music Fair. We had all the kick line, the color guard, and the marching band all received superior ratings and first place finishes. This was fabulous. And that's why we shocked you didn't do it, so I'll do it for you. There were also some special awards given out to the following sections. The drum majors, the woodwinds, the sousaphones, and the auxiliary, as well as Alyssa Wright, Maria Carta, and Isabella Fitzgerald for their feature in the kick line routine. So congratulations to how well they did, our folks in music and parks.
Oh, I have to say this. So I have to say, I should have said something, and I apologize, I should have made my list here. But it was excellent to see the band, the kick line, the color guard. I even posted some video and pictures that I could take when I was there. But it was so nice to see the kids walking around Hershey Park smiling. It was super, super hot, but everybody was having a good time. Really, a shout out to the teachers and the chaperones, and Mr. Malafonte was there too. To all of them, they did an outstanding job. I have to tell you, they had 100 kids? It was over 100, right? They did an exceptional job with keeping these kids busy. They went to Turkey Hill. They went to the chocolate factory. They did so many great things outside of just competing. So they got to compete, and then they got to pretty much have time with their friends, the educators, the chaperones. It was just amazing. Thank you so much for taking the time away to do that with them.
Sorry, I have one more thing. So today was the county track meet, and our boys team came in first place. They are County A champions. The word is that the girls came in second place, so I just wanted to congratulate our boys and girls track teams and all the coaches. Great job to everyone.
Okay, we're gonna move on. Does anyone have any questions on the consent agenda items? If not, I'm not gonna read the statement.
No, it doesn't.
I don't think anyone
Doesn't look
Okay.
like it.
I'm gonna move on to personnel matters. Call for a motion in a second to approve the instructional and uninstructional personnel items presented. Need a motion?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Lee, there's only one public session, so I think you're not allowing the public to speak.
No, there's none. We have two.
Is there two? I thought I only saw one.
No, there's two. All in favor?
Aye. No, Lee, there isn't one, but
Aye.
we do.
That's fine, I'll just make one.
All right, it's not on those.
Okay, now I call for a motion to approve items 2 through 18. Now, is there a change on one of them, Jesse, that you want to read?
The change was on the personnel matters. It was just an updated date, items 47 through 89 on the extended school year schedule had an end date of 6/30/2022, and that end date was just updated to 6/30/2023.
Okay, so I need a motion and a second to approve that change.
Motion.
Motion.
Second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so now we're going to the consent agenda. I need a motion and a second to approve items 2 through 18. Motion?
I just have a question on one of them, for maybe Dr. Adams or Mr. Hauser.
Well, after you motion second, I ask you if you have any questions.
Okay, sorry, Lee, thank you.
Sorry. I need a motion and a second.
Motion.
Second.
Second? Okay, any questions?
Yes, I have a question on number 12, for Dr. Adams or Mr. Hauser. Just for clarification, the health and welfare in regards to Three Village and Connecticut, it says that they're requesting $1,500 per student for kids that live in the district but go to a non-public school in the Three Village.
Correct.
The contract states from September 7th, 2021 to June 24th of this year. So is this past, are we paying for something that already took place?
Yeah, there's a catch-up period of time where school districts send out these contracts. So it is this school year that you're approving this for.
Okay, and what school is it that's a non?
Starting for school?
Got it. Okay, cool, thanks.
Okay, any other questions?
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, motion so carried. Okay, point. I open the floor for the public to comment on a portion of the agenda. I'm not gonna read the whole thing tonight. Is there anyone that is there a number one?
There is. We do have a few people in the audience. Ms. Kennedy, I'll let you know.
Okay, I can.
First, I just want to say congratulations, Jackie, for running a campaign with integrity and truth. Second, I want to say as a community member that the CTA leadership should be embarrassed, should be ashamed of their actions during this whole campaign, up to and including the Newsday article that came out today.
Number two, or next person?
I would like to also congratulate Jackie. Thank you very much. And I agree with what she said. The CTA should be very embarrassed about the slander and the stuff that was going on across all the internet. But I thank you, and congratulations to all the teachers who made tenure.
Have a good day.
Okay, anyone else?
Yes.
Way to go, way to go. That's what we're all about. We're always ready for a good fight, and we're always gonna give it 110%. So you wanna keep it coming, we're ready to keep it coming. But I'm thinking, we're pretty much Connecticut fractured right now, and I think we need to get back to Connecticut strong. And a lot of people are gonna have to make that decision themselves. The parents who voted for you knew what they wanted. wasn't a smokescreen, wasn't an idea that, wow, this doesn't make sense. They knew exactly what they wanted. And 2,390 of them voted for you versus 1,319. So somewhere out there in parent land, you're gonna have to figure out, what do I wanna do? What do I have to do to compromise? We've been trying for the last week to keep things toned down, and we have been getting hammered. Just to give you an idea, the other day, I saw a post that called us Connectquad, but the spelling started with 3 capital Ks. KKKONETQUOT. So there's something really wrong with someone who has to take to social media to put something like that out. I'm not going to go on with the rest of this because we're going to try and calm things down. So we'll see what happens over the next week. But, you know, winning is great. And I'm sorry that your candidate didn't win. But it's time now to figure out, what am I going to do in order to make the Connectquad better? What are we going to do to make Connectquad strong again? Thank you.
Okay,
There's 2 more, Lee.
Well, no, I have 4.
right.
Hi, it's been a while. Quick question, how long is the grading policy suspended for?
Indefinitely at this point.
Indefinitely, okay. Do no harm policy was brought up back in 2017, 2018. A committee was formed back then, just to give you a little background of what has already happened in the district. The person that led the committee at the time presented to the board that Lee and Mylin were both on the board with the 3 gentlemen that were on the board at the time. If I remember correctly, and correct me if I'm wrong, the board majority liked the idea of the do no harm, a true do no harm policy. Due to, I'm not sure exactly what happened at the time, but a vote wasn't taken. So it had to be presented again, a month, maybe 2 months later. I don't remember exactly what the time frame was. At that time, the board approved our current policy with the weighting of the regents. All the research has been done. I believe we were recording at the time, so it can be looked at, what the proposals were at the time. Also regarding the memo that you brought up, that memo was dated 2016. So since 2016, New York State Ed and the Board of Regents both agreed that we should not be using those regents in our GPAs. And here we are, how many years later, still talking about this? Okay, it's time we need to do something on a permanent basis, not wait every year to bring it up before the tests are given. Thank you.
I agree with you.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak?
One more, Lee.
First, of course, congratulations, Jackie, of course, for running a phenomenal campaign on honesty and integrity. And it was an absolute pleasure to work with you, to help advocate for you. In this, I want to go back to something that I've been talking about a lot lately. In the CTA meeting minutes from the April 12th meeting under Math Literacy Committee reports, it states that Ms. Poppy is steadfast in keeping the TC, which is Teachers College Program. It's the Teachers College from Columbia University has quite a few questionable courses, such as one that aims to have their students gather evidence, such as racial disproportionality, in the sites where they work and/or hope to affect change. Another course addresses microaggressions in institutional climates, focusing on race, gender, and sexual orientation. A separate course I found is an internship for teaching English, and it publicizes the theories that will be reviewed during the class. Those theories are critical race theory, critical literacies, Black girl literacies, Afrofuturism, and
culturally responsive pedagogy. Naturally, I investigated further and I found that the Teachers College also has a Facebook page, which just last week advertised the Professional Development Summer Institute designed to help educators more fully address students' academic, social, and emotional wellness through anti-racist teaching tools. I also found on the website an entire section devoted to making history with highlighted articles such as Hitting Racism Where It Lives Now, The Other Stressor, Violence Against People of Color. This one has a nice picture of George Floyd on it, how white supremacy in America feels familiar, removing racial bias, etc. And I really do believe that the district administration is sincere when you state you do not want critical race theory. I believe you, and I want to work with you to make sure it's not here. As far as this Teachers College, I have no doubts that perhaps in the beginning it was a great program, but at some point it changed over. It's now committed to the pursuit of equity and social justice. So the mission has changed. So I don't know what we're going to do about it. I would like somebody to have some oversight over this. This was just CTA minutes from 1 month ago stating that we're keeping this going. So I would hope that there's somebody in the Math and Literacy Committee keeping an eye on this, researching maybe an alternative literacy program that aligns more with the district and the parents. My other question is, I'm wondering if my email about the CTC course, How to Be Anti-Racist, was received, and how the district intends to move forward to make sure that that does not happen again. Do we have anything on that?
So there's actually oversight of the courses that are, which I was unaware of, that comes out of the Assistant Superintendent of Curriculum Instruction Office, where those courses are pre-approved for credit. And that one was pre-approved by Mr. Middleman. So we're very well aware now that the process exists, and we will be watching those courses.
Okay, I appreciate that, because that's not something that we want. The last thing that I want to say, ironically, our CTA vice president is directly involved in all these issues that I mentioned, as far as obviously the CTA and the CTC. So I have to ask what the district plans to do about his employment. As of today, as we heard, and we all know, the Newsday featured an article where he once again slandered our district, much like he attempted to slander our winning Board of Ed trustee during her campaign. The man has put our district down one too many times. I don't know how many emails the parents need to send to say they don't want him near our children, or how many interviews he needs to give to Newsday before someone actually stands up and defends the people. When is someone in the administrative cabinet going to actually stand up to him and put him where he belongs on the unemployment list? He needs to go. He absolutely needs to go. So I hope that you do something, because he is hurting our district. He's a leader in our district, and he is bringing us down. And I'm not going to have that, and neither will the parents, the rest of the parents. So, thank you, and congratulations again, Jim.
Okay, if there's no other questions. Okay, at this point, I'd like to make a motion to move into executive session.
For the
Finish
purposes,
this.
for the purposes to discuss negotiations.
Really? I thought it was the purpose to discuss unfinished business.
It's part of the negotiations, is that?
Right, okay. I need a motion?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
Good night. Have a good night.
Wonderful, safe Memorial Day.
And you all too.
Yeah, we're doing exec. We're doing exec, then we'll be out of here, so just take him home.
Hold on, just guys, real quick, what we can do is we can have it here, but with the sounds, people outside could hear it. We could pop into a classroom if someone were to lock the door, and I
Listen, if
can,
they're walking out, we don't put the sound on, you should.
I don't know how to get them.
Santos can shut the sound off?
Let's shut the door. You should be home.
I would think if you shut that monitor, you shut the sound.
Hi, yes, we're not gonna go live again, but I need, we're gonna go into exec, so I'm gonna need you to leave. And then also, I'm gonna have the board on the smart board, but I don't want it going through the speaker, so is it possible? Yeah.